June 14, 2013, marked a courtroom door swinging shut on one of the most chilling chapters of modern crime, a chapter that began on a quiet afternoon in 2002, when three women vanished from their apartments on Cleveland's East Side, never to be seen again until the night their captor was finally unmasked. The Cleveland kidnappings exposed a horrific decade of captivity and abuse, revealing the twisted reality that had festered behind the walls of a modest suburban home for over 10 years. Michelle Knight, a 25-year-old mother of two, vanished from her apartment on February 22, 2002. A month later, on March 28, 2002, 21-year-old Amanda Berry disappeared from her own home. The third victim, 19-year-old Georgina DeJesus, was taken on April 2, 2002, after leaving a party downtown. All three were lured into the clutches of Ariel Castro, a 42-year-old handyman who lived at 220 Sullivan Road, a modest house that would become a prison. Castro's method was chillingly simple. He offered assistance, a ride, a promise of safety, then locked his victims behind a series of reinforced doors, steel bars, and a sound-deadening concrete slab. For 11 years, the women endured not only physical confinement but psychological torment, forced labor, and relentless sexual abuse. They were permitted only brief, guarded outings for groceries, each escorted by their captor and monitored by a system of alarms that would sound at the slightest deviation. Their lives became a silent nightmare, hidden beneath the mundane hum of a suburban neighborhood. It was a neighbor's frantic call that finally shattered the veil of secrecy. On May 6, 2013, after an alleged date with Castro, Amanda Berry managed to escape through a kitchen window, sprinting to a nearby house where she shouted for help. Police arrived within minutes, discovering the battered, terrified trio huddled together in a makeshift bedroom. The discovery sparked a national outcry, and the once quiet streets of Cleveland erupted with disbelief, anger, and a fierce demand for justice. Ariel Castro, a former Army veteran with a criminal record for burglary and a history of domestic violence, was immediately arrested. The investigation unearthed a trove of damning evidence: DNA samples linking him to the victims, photographs documenting his abuse, and a series of letters he had written to the women, demanding obedience and threatening death. The case quickly became a media behemoth, with every detail dissected on news cycles and social media platforms, while the victims' families rallied for support and healing. The trial, officially titled People v. Ariel Castro, began on October 15, 2013 in the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas. The prosecution, led by Assistant Prosecutor Michael J. P. Gillespie, presented a relentless narrative of premeditation, kidnapping, sexual assault, and aggravated murder, charges that reflected the depth of the horrors endured. Witnesses included the victims themselves, whose testimony painted a harrowing picture of daily survival. "He would wake us at 3 in the morning to clean the house, to make him dinner, to keep him entertained," Michelle Knight testified, her voice trembling yet resolute. The defense, headed by attorney Brian D. Miller, attempted to downplay the severity of the crimes, arguing that the victims had consented to certain aspects of their relationship and that the kidnapping charges were inflated. They tried to introduce the notion of mutual consent in a case that, by every legal definition, was a non-consensual abduction and prolonged sexual slavery. Their arguments were met with outrage from the public and the victims' families, who saw the strategy as an affront to the trauma endured. Throughout the trial, the courtroom became a stage for both legal drama and profound human resilience. The victims, who had endured unimaginable suffering, chose to speak publicly for the first time in years, reclaiming their narratives and refusing to be silenced. Their testimonies were punctuated by moments of quiet defiance, a steady gaze, a whispered "I'm okay now," a resolve that transformed the courtroom from a place of accusation into a sanctuary of truth. On November 5, 2013, after less than a month of proceedings, the jury returned a guilty verdict on all counts. Castro was convicted of 32 counts, including kidnapping, rape, aggravated murder, and false imprisonment. The sentencing phase, conducted in early February 2014, culminated in a series of consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole, effectively ensuring that he would spend the rest of his days behind bars. In a chilling final statement, the judge described Castro as a predator who preyed upon the most vulnerable, whose actions have left scars that will endure for a lifetime. The aftermath of the trial rippled far beyond the courthouse walls. The three women, now free but forever changed, embarked on a journey of healing that would span years. Michelle Knight and Amanda Berry became outspoken advocates for victims of kidnapping and sexual violence, establishing foundations that provide counseling, legal assistance, and a platform for survivors to share their stories. Georgina DeJesus, who had endured the longest period of captivity, pursued a degree in social work, dedicating her life to supporting other victims of domestic and sexual abuse. The community of Cleveland, once haunted by the hidden horror, began a slow process of collective healing. The house at 220 Sullivan Road was demolished in 2016, a symbolic act meant to erase the physical reminder of the atrocities. Subscribe to The Verdict for more stories like this.